Have you ever felt like your children just don't listen to you anymore? Do they roll their eyes, ignore your rules, or even talk back? Maybe you've asked them to do something simple: clean their room, turn off the TV, or speak respectfully. And instead of cooperation, you get attitude. Does it ever feel like no matter what you say, your words just don't carry the same weight they used to? That somewhere along the way, the respect they once had for you started to fade? If you've ever felt frustrated, disrespected, or even powerless in your own home, you are not alone. This is something many parents struggle with, but here's the good news. Respect isn't lost forever. It can be rebuilt. The truth is, children aren't born knowing how to respect others. It's something they learn. And as parents, we play a huge role in shaping that. But when things get off track, when the eye rolls and defiant attitudes start to take over, it's easy to feel stuck. So what can you do? How do you turn things around when your child seems to have lost respect for you? In today's video, we're going to talk about 5 powerful ways to regain respect when your children don't respect you. These are practical, effective strategies that can help you reestablish authority, strengthen your relationship, and create a home environment built on mutual respect. But before we dive in, if you're new here or if you find this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. It really helps this channel grow and allows us to reach more parents who are looking for support just like you. Now let's get into it. 1. Be the example. Children are like sponges. They absorb everything around them, especially from their parents. They learn how to interact with others by watching how we interact with them and the people around us. If you want your child to respect you, start by asking yourself, am I modeling the kind of respect I expect from them? Think about it. How do you respond when your child makes a mistake? Do you correct them with patience and understanding, or do you react with frustration and criticism? How do you handle conflict in your home? Do you raise your voice, insult, or shut people down, or do you communicate calmly and respectfully even when you're upset? How do you speak about others, your spouse, teachers, family members? Children pick up on subtle cues. If they see you belittling or disrespecting others, they may start doing the same. The mirror effect. Imagine this. You're on your phone, barely looking up as your child is trying to talk to you. Then later, when you try to have a conversation with them, they ignore you or stay glued to their screen. It's frustrating, right? But from their perspective, they're just following the behavior they've seen. The way we treat our children, especially in moments of frustration, teaches them how to treat us in return. If we dismiss their feelings, they'll learn to dismiss ours. If we constantly demand respect without giving it, they'll resist instead of respond. How to model respect effectively. 1. Speak to them the way you want to be spoken to. Instead of yelling, try a calm and firm tone. Instead of saying, "because I said so," explain your reasoning when appropriate. Instead of dismissing their concerns, listen and validate their feelings. 2. Apologize when you make mistakes. If you lose your temper or say something hurtful, don't be afraid to admit it. Saying, "I'm sorry for yelling earlier. I was frustrated, but I shouldn't have raised my voice," teaches them accountability. 3. Show them what respect looks like in daily life. Say please and thank you to them. Knock before entering their room if you expect them to do the same. Treat waiters, teachers, and family members with kindness, because they're always watching. Respect is a two-way street. When children see respect in action, they're much more likely to reflect it back. So, before you demand respect from your child, take a moment to ask yourself, am I giving them the same level of respect I expect in return? 2. Set clear boundaries and enforce them. Respect starts with clear expectations. Children thrive when they understand what is acceptable and what isn't. If they constantly test boundaries and nothing happens, they will keep pushing limits. This isn't because they are bad kids, it's because they are wired to explore and see what they can get away with. If you want to regain respect, your child needs to know that your words have meaning. Why boundaries matter. Boundaries give children a sense of security. When they know what is expected of them, they feel more stable and less anxious. If the rules change every time you get tired or overwhelmed, they learn to ignore them. But When boundaries are clear and consistent, they become second nature. Think of it like a traffic light. A green light means go, acceptable behavior. A yellow light means slow down, warnings or reminders. A red light means stop, consequences are enforced. If you never turn the red light on, your child will keep speeding through limits without stopping. Setting firm but fair boundaries. To make boundaries effective, follow these steps. 1. Be specific about expectations. Instead of saying, be respectful, say, in this house, we speak to each other kindly and listen when someone is talking. Instead of saying, behave at dinner, say, at the table, we sit while eating, use utensils and say, please and thank you. When expectations are clear, your child knows exactly what you mean. 2. Communicate the consequences in advance. If your child talks back, instead of saying, don't speak to me that way, set a clear rule. If you speak to me disrespectfully, I will walk away until you are ready to talk properly. If they refuse to do their chores, instead of arguing, let them know. If your room isn't clean by bedtime, you won't have screen time tomorrow. When children understand the consequences beforehand, they know what to expect. 3. Follow through every time. If you warn them about a consequence and don't enforce it, they will stop taking you seriously. If you say, no more video games if you don't finish your homework, and then let them play anyway, they learn that your words don't matter. The key is consistency, even when it's inconvenient. Handling pushback. When you set boundaries, expect resistance. Your child may argue, test limits, or throw tantrums. That's normal. But how you respond determines whether they will respect you in the long run. Stay calm. Don't argue, yell, or negotiate. Just restate the boundary. Be unemotional. If you let frustration take over, they will see that they have power over your emotions. Use simple phrases. I understand you're upset, but the rule still stands. When children realize that your boundaries do not change based on their reaction, they will start respecting them, and you. Respect is built when your child understands that your words mean something. When you set clear boundaries and enforce them consistently, you teach them that actions have consequences, just like in the real world. And over time, instead of constantly testing your limits, they will start respecting them. 3. Listen before you lecture. As parents, it's easy to assume that when a child is being disrespectful, they are simply misbehaving or being defiant. But have you ever stopped to ask yourself, why are they acting this way? Sometimes, children act out not because they want to be difficult, but because they feel unheard, frustrated, or misunderstood. If they're constantly being talked at instead of talked to, their frustration may come out in the form of disrespect. The truth is, no one likes to be lectured, including children. If every conversation feels like a one-sided speech where they're being corrected, criticized, or told what to do, they may start tuning you out completely. Why listening is more powerful than lecturing. Imagine if every time you expressed frustration, someone immediately cut you off and told you what you were doing wrong. You'd probably feel unheard, annoyed, and even more resistant, right? That's exactly how children feel when parents jump straight into correction mode instead of taking the time to listen. When kids feel like their voice matters, they are much more likely to open up about their feelings, respect your authority, follow your guidance. On the other hand, if they feel dismissed, they may resort to anger, defiance, or shutting down emotionally. How to listen before you lecture. The next time your child is being rude or resistant, instead of immediately scolding them, pause and try these steps. 1. Take a deep breath before reacting. If your child snaps at you or rolls their eyes, it's tempting to fire back immediately, but reacting emotionally often escalates the situation. Instead, take a second to breathe and remind yourself, my child's behavior is communication. Let me figure out what they are trying to say. 2. Acknowledge their feelings first. Instead of saying, don't talk to me like that, try, I hear that you're upset. What's going on? This simple shift does 2 things. It de-escalates the situation by showing them that their feelings matter. It creates space for a real conversation instead of a power struggle. 3. Ask open-ended questions. You seem really frustrated. Can you tell me what's wrong? You've been quiet today. Is something bothering you? I noticed you got upset when I asked you to turn off the TV. What's up? These questions invite them to talk instead of shutting them down. 4. Listen without interrupting. When they start talking, resist the urge to correct, criticize, or jump in with advice right away. Even if they say something that sounds unreasonable, let them finish. Sometimes they just need to vent before they can calm down. 5. Validate their feelings before offering guidance. Instead of saying, "That's not a big deal, stop overreacting," try, "I can see why that upset you, that makes sense." Validating their feelings doesn't mean you're excusing bad behavior, it just means you're acknowledging their emotions before addressing their actions. When you listen, they listen back. Once a child feels understood, they are far more likely to listen to what you have to say in return. After validating their feelings, you can then guide them toward better behavior. "I understand you were frustrated, but yelling at me isn't the right way to handle it. Let's talk about a better way to express your feelings. I get that you were upset, but being disrespectful isn't okay. How can we handle this differently next time?" This approach turns discipline into a conversation instead of a battle. If you want your child to respect you, they first need to feel respected. And respect starts with listening. By pausing, acknowledging their feelings, and creating space for conversation, you transform power struggles into opportunities for connection and growth. 4. Stop trying to be liked. Focus on being respected. Many parents with the best intentions fall into the trap of wanting to be their child's friend rather than their parent. After all, no one wants to be the mean parent. It feels good when your child enjoys being around you, laughs with you, and considers you cool. But here's the hard truth. Respect doesn't come from being overly lenient, giving in to demands, or avoiding conflict. It comes from being firm, consistent, and fair. Trying too hard to be liked often leads to avoiding discipline because you don't want to upset them, letting bad behavior slide because you don't want to be the bad guy, giving in to their demands to keep the peace. While this might seem like the easier route in the short term, in the long run, it weakens your authority and teaches your child that they don't have to take you seriously. Why respect matters more than popularity. Think about the people in your life whom you truly respect. Chances are they aren't the ones who let you do whatever you want without consequences. Instead, they are the people who hold you accountable, set clear expectations, offer guidance, even when it's tough to hear. Your child needs you to be their guide, their role model, their protector, not just their buddy. Signs you might be prioritizing being liked over respect. Ask yourself, do I hesitate to enforce rules because I don't want to upset my child? Do I find myself constantly bargaining or negotiating instead of setting firm boundaries? Do I avoid discipline because I want my child to like me? If you answered yes to any of these, it might be time to shift your focus toward earning their respect, not their approval. How to be a respected parent, not just a cool one. 1. Be the parent first, the friend second. It's great to have a loving, fun relationship with your child, but there must be a balance. You can laugh, joke, and have fun, but when it comes to discipline, your authority should not be up for debate. 2. Set rules and stick to them. Respect is built when your child sees that you mean what you say. If you say no screen time until homework is done, but then let them watch TV anyway, they will learn that your rules don't really matter. Follow through is key. Respect comes from consistency. 3. Don't fear their reactions. Your child will get upset when you enforce boundaries. They may argue, sulk, or say, "You're so unfair," but that doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. Their short-term disappointment is far less important than their long-term respect. 4. Make tough decisions even when they don't like it. Sometimes your child won't understand why you're enforcing a rule, but that's okay. You are raising a future adult, and your job is to prepare them for life, not just to keep them happy. 5. Be firm, but still loving. Being respected doesn't mean being cold or harsh. You can be strict while still being warm and supportive. "I love you, but this is the rule. I know you're upset, and that's okay, but my decision stands." Your child doesn't need you to be their best friend. They need you to be their leader, their protector, and their guide. And over time, when they see that you are fair, consistent, and unwavering in your role as a parent, they will respect you, not just as their mom or dad, but as someone they can trust. And one day when they're older, they'll look back and thank you for it. 5. Hold them accountable. Respect isn't just about enforcing rules, it's about teaching responsibility. If your child consistently disrespects you without consequences, they will quickly learn that their actions don't matter. Many parents nag, argue, or repeat themselves, but without follow-through, children don't take them seriously. If you want respect, your child needs to experience the direct results of their choices. Why accountability matters. Think about real life. If you skip work, you don't get paid. If you speed, you get a ticket. Actions have consequences. Children need to learn this same lesson in a safe and structured way at home. If they can talk back, ignore responsibilities, or break rules without consequences, they will continue to push limits. Not because they're bad, but because they can. When children see that you follow through every time, they learn self-discipline, understand the impact of their choices, respect your authority. How to hold your child accountable without yelling or arguing. 1. Set clear expectations in advance. If children don't know the rules, they can't be expected to follow them. Instead of saying, be respectful, say, if you speak to me rudely, I will stop the conversation until you can speak appropriately. If your chores aren't done by dinner, there will be no screen time that night. 2. Use logical consequences, not harsh punishments. Consequences should be related to the behavior. For example, if they refuse to clean their room, they lose screen time until it's done. If they break something in anger, they help fix or replace it. If they don't do their homework, they explain it to their teacher, not you. Unrelated punishments, like grounding them for a month over one mistake, create resentment, not responsibility. 3. Stay calm and consistent. Many parents make the mistake of getting emotional when disciplining, but the more you argue or react angrily, the more your child learns to push your buttons. Instead, be calm, but firm. I understand you're upset, but you still need to finish your responsibilities. I love you, but the rule still applies. The key is follow through. If you set a consequence, stick to it every time. 4. Encourage problem solving. Instead of just punishing, help them think through their choices. Ask, what could you have done differently? How can you make this right? This helps them learn from mistakes instead of just fearing consequences. When children see that actions have consequences, they start making better choices. They learn that respect isn't just demanded, it's earned through responsibility and accountability. They may not like it in the moment, but over time, they will respect you more for being a parent who means what they say. Regaining respect from your children doesn't happen overnight. It takes consistency, patience, and leadership. But when you lead by example, set clear boundaries, listen before you lecture, focus on respect over popularity, hold them accountable, you create a home where respect grows naturally. Which of these 5 strategies do you think will help you the most? Let me know in the comments. And if you found this helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more parenting tips. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.